Hi, everybody. Today we are talking about the idea of how you can think for yourself. Caregivers, like everybody else in life, we are very susceptible to being influenced by our family members, our friends, our peers, or what we call the majority, right? Everybody else out there who may not have any idea of what a caregiver does, the challenges that we face in life, everything that we have going on, especially if they haven't been a caregiver. And so when you think about this in the big picture of life, right, you hear news, you watch news, you see things, you read things. And everybody out there is trying to influence other people to make a choice or make a decision. And the challenge in most cases is if you don't take the time to really understand the issue and gather some information and look at both sides, it's very easy to be swayed to think like the masses or to think how your elderly parents want you to think or your friends or other people. So the idea of thinking for yourself really relates to understanding the pressures that are coming from everywhere, all this noise and news in our life, right? Our family, our peers, our social pressure. It's also called herd mentality, if you've heard that term, right? It's being led by the opinions and the ideas of others who may not really give much thought to what they're agreeing to. They may be just like, the sheep following the path or the people following the path. So I'm Pamela D. Wilson. My website is pameladwilson.com. This is my YouTube channel. Please press the share button, press the like button on these videos so that other people can find hope, help, and support about caregiving, aging, and everything else. And a lot of the things that I do on my YouTube channel and my website and my podcast is answer questions that caregivers ask. And one of the big things that I always want to reinforce is the fact that you have to think for yourself. You have to make your own choices, because when caregivers don't do that, then years down the road, they're coming back saying, Pamela, I'm stuck in this horrible situation. I shouldn't have done this or I shouldn't have done that. And my family members are controlling everything and I don't feel like I have any choices. So the way to have those choices is to think independently, but it takes work and it takes time to do that, right? And caregivers many times are so rushed that you don't feel like you have more time. So if you're interested in a more in-depth discussion on this topic, I have a podcast. It's called The Caring Generation. Look for episode 164. And depending on when you're watching this video, it may or may not be posted yet, but come back. It's an episode called How to Stop Being Easily Influenced by Other People. Now, in our life, right, we like to think that we're making our own choices and our decisions based on the fact that we've evaluated information and we understand what the consequences are and we've used our judgment, right? But sometimes if we don't have life experience, right, if we haven't done this before and we don't know anything about it, like if you asked me to go put a new transmission in my car, I would have no idea how to do that. I could hire somebody, but if I was going to do it, I probably would want to learn about it, right? Well, we don't have time to do that because we have so much else going on in life. So sometimes we have to seek information and education and make the time to do that, which can be painful, I know. But here's the thing. Research confirms that people who don't have an opinion about something or don't understand the choices that are presented to you or the implications of those choices. So what happens if I do A or B or C? You are going to be more easily influenced by other people and you're just going to do what they say. You're going to take their recommendations, right? So if you're a caregiver, though, doing that, following the herd mentality, listening to your parents, listening to other people, it can cause a lot of problems for you and your loved ones because there's so much that can happen. So let's just give an example of influencers, so on social media or the news or whatever. You watch all these commercials, right? They tell you, oh, you got to get the latest smartphone, or you need a computer or a car, or you got to be like the cool people. You need these things, right? Well, do you really? I don't know about that. So more specifically to healthcare, if you watch TV, you see all these commercials. I mean, a lot of commercials by pharmaceutical companies, right? Telling you need this drug and this is going to make your life easier and all that kind of stuff. Well, here's the thing. A lot of those commercials are for new medications that are super, super expensive. I mean, $500, $1,000 a month, even though they have all these discount plans, right? In most cases, there is another medication out there that has lost its patent and is generic that can do the same thing for 5 or 10 or $15, right? But pharmaceutical companies don't continue to make money off those drugs. So they have to continue creating new drugs and new medications, and they have to spend a lot of advertising to influence people to go to their doctors and say, hey, I want this. So again, you're being led to think that this is a really great thing when there are other alternatives. And if you don't investigate those alternatives, you don't know, and you end up spending more money or taking a drug that hasn't been tested. All of that happens when we're a caregiver and we're looking for the easiest solution out there. And it's not just with pharmaceuticals, it's with every choice in our life, right? So the better option to make your own choices and make your own decisions is to take the time to become educated about what your choices are, the impact of the choices short-term and long-term, so that you can make a good decision. And when you start doing this, then you gain more confidence to say, well, this is what I did last time. I'm going to do the same investigative process. I'm going to make the decision and, see how it works out. Now, the problem with caregiving is, a lot of people pressuring you. Your parents want you to be their caregiver. They don't want anybody else. Your spouse wants you to be the caregiver. Your brothers and sisters are saying you got to be the caregiver. Your aunts and uncles are saying, well, it's your responsibility as the youngest daughter, youngest son, single person who has no family, right? So you have all this pressure coming in from family saying this is your duty and your responsibility. And honestly, the answer may be yes, it is. But the question to ask is, to what degree is it your responsibility and not theirs? Are you expected to give up your job, not get married, not go to school, to college, not have children so that you can be the caregiver? What are those trade-offs? And when you agree to be that caregiver, do you think about that? Are you looking at the long term? Are you making a really good choice? Now, being a caregiver can also be this super high pressure situation where you've got to make snap decisions. Your parents in the hospital, they need a medication. This is going to happen. And so there's a lot of pressure to decide immediately. Sometimes you have to do that, admittedly. Other times you can take the time to think about it or set a trial period and say, let's try this for a week. Let's see how it goes. If it doesn't work out, we got to look at something else. So all these decisions that caregivers make, things like how to manage your time in your life, medical decisions that include medications and treatments and things like that. Where do you get money to pay for care? How do you pay for all this? How do you understand what Medicare pays for versus Medicaid? And then, like we talked, we have all these family relationships with people pressuring you to do things. Then sometimes you can't take care of a parent and they have to move to a community. Well, what does that involve? How does that work? What are the costs? How do you pay for that? And then eventually there's end of life and palliative care. So there's a lot of decisions, a lot of pressures, a lot of people trying to influence you. And the key is not taking the time to be thorough about any of these decisions. It's going to cause you a lot of problems later. So where are some good solutions for caregivers, right? You're saying, well, Pamela, you're telling me I have all these problems, but you're not telling me how to solve them. Go to my website, PamelaDWilson.com. Click on the support button. There is a course on there about how to take care of aging parents, elderly parents, and yourself. I have been in caregiving for 20 years. It is my personal experience of taking care of hundreds of people in different situations, difficult situations, easy, all of that. Practical experience, practical tips that you can evaluate if it makes sense for you, right? Because we all know that stress affects our minds up here. It affects our decision making, our ability to think and concentrate and make choices between A and B and C. And many caregivers are what we call burning the candle at both ends. You're working, you're trying to take care of aging parents, you got kids. And honestly, there are days or weeks or months where you're just like, I can't think about one more thing. I cannot make this decision. My brain is not there. My mind is not there. So you kind of just put your life on hold, right? But sometimes what happens is you put your life on hold for a month, and then it's 2 months, and then it's 6 months, and then it's a year, and it's 2 years, and it's 5 years. It happens. So the important thing is to realize you have decisions and choices. Consider the information that you accept from other people. Is it valid? Does it make sense for you? Realize that other people are going to try to influence you because you being the caregiver may be easier for them. And then think about this. How many times have you taken somebody's advice and it didn't quite work out the way that you wanted? So instead of living with regrets and resentment and thinking, I shouldn't have done that. What was I thinking? Let all that stuff go. Can't change it, right? And ruminating over it is not gonna help you. It is so difficult to be mentally strong when you are a stressed out caregiver or stressed out in any aspect of your life. So the thing to do is pause, take a step back, see if you can evaluate the situation, become more educated, look at your choices. Changing to this behavior of saying, I'm not going to make an immediate choice, I'm going to think about this, is hard because we all want to just get on with life. We all want to make choices. We all want to move on. But sometimes that is not the best thing when you're making a decision that really has a lot of impact on your life and something that's important to people. So start putting yourself first. Create a clear picture of what you want this situation to look like. Evaluate it, figure out a plan to make it happen, and then move forward. I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Thanks for being here for this video. Again, look for the podcast related to this video. Go to my website, PamelaDWilson.com. A lot of hope, help, support information there for caregivers and aging adults. Have a fabulous day today until we see you again in another video.